it feels so empty without you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to the most electrifying podcast in all of sports radio today. You are listening to the Sportswire. I am Big Daddy Cool Vinny Apicella, and I am here live, actually on location. I am not at the Sportswire studio as normally. I'm actually in my son's room. It being the Memorial Day holiday weekend. I decided to do a little bit of change up, so I'm not home. I'm not at the Sportswire studio, and so that's what it is today. So I'm here live in East Haven, Connecticut, and doing the Sportswire live right here on location. We got a jam-packed show for you today. We got a lot to talk about. We got some WWE news, including a big return for tonight on Monday Night Raw, as well as Yankees news. They're finally getting the momentum that they need. It's about time. I'll touch on the NBA finals or the NBA playoffs. I don't know anything about the NHL, but you know, we'll definitely go through it now, and we're gonna be here for the next hour or so, maybe hour and a half. We'll see how long it goes and what we got to talk about. Of course, as always, whatever comes to mind. You know, it's me. It's Big Daddy Cool. It's the Sportswire. It does not mean that it's going to be just sports. Okay? You should know that by now. If you're a long-time listener of the Sportswire, you should know that. The chat is open. Definitely, if you're listening to us on the Spreaker app or the Spreaker page or whatever, there's that chat area. You can definitely log in, sign up, and chat away. Send us the love that you want, because I'm going to be here, and I love to get the feedback. All right, so we got some, like I said, we got some stuff to talk about today. First things first, as always, let's give our first fruits to God above, because without God, we would be nothing. Father God, I want to thank you for just allowing me to wake up this morning. I know I'm a little tired, a little groggy, but you know what? You allowed me to open my eyes. That's the first gift that you gave me this morning, Father. I want to thank you for the blessings that you've given me in my life, because, you know, without you, none of this is possible. I want to send a quick prayer out to Curtis Pacheco, one of our DJs here on Black Line Entertainment and Sports Network. He just had his bout with testicular cancer. He went through a surgery. So definitely prayers, positive energy, and positive vibes going out to him as well, that he makes a full recovery. I definitely want to pray for just everybody out there who's part of the ministry, part of my friends and family that are struggling not only today with the loss of loved ones who have served in war, but also the just in general pain, whether it's a job loss, whether it's you know, loss of a loved one, loss of a relationship, loss of whatever. Father, I just pray that you are with them. I definitely want you to protect over all of my friends and family. I pray that you help people to rise up, you know, instead of staying stuck in their same old rut. I pray that you allow them to, you know, see the error of the ways and actually go to you for guidance, go to you for help, Father, so that they could actually see the fruits that you're about to give them, the grace that you're about to give them, Lord. I definitely want to thank you for Danielle coming into my life, and she's actually helped to put the smile back on my face where there wasn't one before. I pray that your will is done in that relationship aspect, Father. I definitely want to pray for Wayne Jones, because he's my partner in this radio network, and he's going through getting his business plan together, Father, and I pray that that all goes well. There's a lot of people out there that I thank you for their accomplishments, especially Tamira and her graduating college and going to be, you know, getting her law degree. I want to thank you for just absolutely everything. Thank you for family. Thank you for friends. Thank you for love, because without love, there's nothing here, Lord. Without love, there's nothing. All right, Father God, thank you. I thank you for everything, and I ask all this through your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, so before we get to anything else, it's going to be a little different. It's going to be a completely America-themed show, and that goes right down to our worship song of the day. It's not going to be a specific worship song. It's going to be God Bless the USA. Lee Greenwood, definitely a great song. I love it. So I'm sure you know it. They've played almost every 4th of July fireworks display. But definitely, here's God Bless the USA by Lee Greenwood right now on the Sportswire.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
All right, amen. That's Lee Greenwood once again with God Bless the USA right here on the Sportswire, only on Black Line and Entertainment and Sports Network. I want to give a huge shout out again, to all the ministry out there listening, and a huge shout out to all the families that have lost loved ones in wars, keeping our country safe from all kinds of threats from all the years gone by. Today is not a day about barbecues. It's not a day about parades. It's not a day about, beers and barbecues and all that kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, just looking outside the window right now, it's actually raining in here in Connecticut, in the New Haven County area. It's going to be on and off rain all day, probably parts of the sunshine at some point. But you know what? It's not about that. It's about honoring those that have lost their lives serving for this country and helping us to maintain our level of freedom. Now, something happened over this past weekend that really pissed me off. Okay, I've been very outspoken about President Obama on this show for a long time. Okay, and this just takes the cake, and I cannot wait until January when this no good piece of garbage is out of the White House. Okay, now don't get me wrong. Okay, don't get me wrong. Okay, the premise behind what he did was good, but there's a problem with it. Okay, what he did was he went out he went over to Japan over Memorial Day weekend of all weekends, okay, and apologized to the Japanese people for dropping the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, or the second one as well, Nagasaki, I believe. But he went over and apologized for that. Now, don't get me wrong, apologizing to somebody is good, but the fact is, it was in retaliation for what happened at Pearl Harbor when the Japanese came and bombed us, okay, and attacked our base and killed 1,500 Americans, okay? So if anybody owes an apology, it's the Japanese people apologizing to us, okay? So with that being said, this guy, number one, I'm going to say it right here, he does not speak for me, okay? Wayne Joe just corrected me. He said he didn't apologize. He acknowledged it, but did not apologize for it. Okay, I apologize. I was going based on the news stories, and that I saw. So that's so I apologize if I got the message wrong. But the fact is, if he acknowledged the fact. I mean, it's history. I mean, we know it happened. But the fact remains that I don't understand the idea. I don't understand the idea of. I guess here's the deal. Yes, when we do something wrong, we should apologize for it. Last summer when I did something wrong, or any time I do something wrong, I always have to take time and then kind of put myself in the other person's shoes and realize what the hell I did wrong. I mean, most guys are like that, period. I mean, let's just keep it real. But, and I always have to apologize. I mean, that's just common sense. It's common human decency to apologize. But at the same time, it's like when we're doing something in retaliation, I don't feel the need to apologize. And I'm not, and if you didn't apologize, then that's great. But at the same time, it's like Memorial Day weekend is a weekend to celebrate and remember the lives of those that we lost in war, of those that we lost serving our country. Don't you think it would be beneficial to be home here in the States and, whatever, whether it's going to the cemetery in Arlington or going to, the different places around the area, the memorial services or whatever, to recognize those fallen heroes. Everything that Obama does is criticized. I will be the first person to admit that because, and I don't want to get into the racial card because that's not what it is. Okay. It has nothing to do with that. It's just the Democratic Party, they're so freaking liberal. Don't get me wrong. There are parts of my life and parts of me that are liberal as well. But when it comes to the way we run our government, the way we run our, day to day, a lot of it should be conservative. And, do I absolutely 110% agree that God should be back in school. God should be back in schools. God should be back in the government. God should be back in courts. Okay. I don't believe that necessarily schools have to teach the Bible. Okay. But in the Pledge of Allegiance, it should be said because we are one nation under God. And most religions, if it's a monotheistic religion, okay, whether it's Christianity, Muslim, or Judaism, and I'm not even going to go into all the different denominations of Christianity, okay, but if it's a monotheistic religion, they serve one God. Whether you call him God or Allah or the Spirit or the higher power, whatever it is, it's still God. So for people to be complaining about, the Pledge of Allegiance saying one nation under God, I mean, quite honestly, you could interpret that however you want, because we were founded by. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole debate about who founded us, whether it's Christopher Columbus or the Native Americans or, the fact is when we were set up as a country, okay, the 13 colonies, and we broke away from England, okay, and this goes back, to the 1700s, okay, and yes, this land was here, much, much farther, and the Native Americans were inhabiting it, okay, but when we broke away from England, because the English people came over, it was puritanical Christianity, okay, so we were founded as a Christian country, okay, when the Native Americans, now granted, the Native Americans, they have their own religion, they worship nature, and that's good for them, okay, and, everybody's like, oh, well, there's so, the biggest, genocide was when the English people came over and, and Columbus came over and they attacked the Native Americans and that. Okay, I understand that completely. I don't agree with having Columbus Day changed to Indigenous Americans Day or whatever they're trying to say it, or Explorers Day or whatever, because they want to write Christopher Columbus out of the history books. But they didn't have technology back then to learn about other people. So, and because of the language barrier, where obviously Columbus being Italian, he spoke Italian. The Native Americans, they had their own language. So there's a huge language. They didn't have these fancy things where you could put a device in your ear and translate what somebody else is saying from a different language. Okay? It's the same thing nowadays. It's like, okay, there's a huge language barrier between different cultures. And believe me, it's completely understandable. But at the same time, okay, it's like when you're here in America and you come to America for the American dream, okay, the first thing that should happen is you should learn English so that you can converse with the majority of people that live here, okay? Now, if it's going to be broken English, it's going to be broken English. Okay, fine, because that's obviously not your native language. But do you know how badly it irks me when you come to this country and expect to get a job and you can't speak a lick of English? That happened at my old hotel in Meriden. There were some of the housekeepers there, and I'm not stereotyping that all, different ethnicities become housekeepers. I'm not saying that at all. But they become housekeepers because they can't be on the front desk because they don't speak English. Okay? So you're trying to communicate to somebody you work with, and there's a language barrier because, well, quite honestly, this housekeeper cannot understand what you're telling them in English. So you find somebody who's bilingual and speaks Spanish and English. But the fact is, when you're at a workplace here in America, in the United States of America, you should be speaking English. Okay? And that's something that really bugs me. Especially, you go to the Chinese restaurant. Okay? They've got broken English, but at least they make an attempt. But then when they speak to each other, it's always in Chinese. So it's like you never know if you're talking about somebody. And unfortunately, that leads to the prejudice. That leads to the judgment. That leads to, quote unquote, the hatred. Not that you necessarily hate somebody that's speaking in a different language, but it really gets on your nerves. It gets on my nerves. I know that for a fact. All right. So, I just, there's so much going into that. I'm going to actually try to get an interview. Back when I was on the other network last summer, I had a guy on, Robin Doyen, and he was going to start a TV show about people coming from other countries to really make it. Entrepreneurs who came from other countries into the United States to make a living, to create a business. I think that's awesome, and when you go about it the right way, okay? You come in, you work on becoming a citizen, you pay your taxes, you're here legally. That's what it's all about, okay? When you're here, when you sneak into this country, okay, and you're getting these jobs under the table, you're not paying taxes. You're driving illegally if you're driving, unless you're in some states where they allow illegal immigrants to become undocumented immigrants to become, to get driver's licenses, to get, social services help, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Okay. One of the, everybody asks me, and believe me, I've gotten into arguments all the time with many people that are close to me, let alone people I don't know. Okay. People ask me why I'm so adamant and why I am on the Trump train. I am 110% for Donald Trump in this election. First of all, Bernie Sanders had a lot of good points. And I was open-minded. I read a great article about his platform. Okay. And I even shared it. And I said, open your mind. Okay. But you know what? There's so much to this idea that there's a 1%, the top 1%, whether it's Rockefeller or whoever else there is in there that run this country, that fix the elections. There's so much to it because you know what? If this election, if these primaries, we're not even into the general election yet, but but in these primaries, if it was actually the way it's promoted and the way it's been seen on social media, Bernie Sanders would be your Democratic nominee, not Hillary Clinton. There's so much stuff out there that for Bernie Sanders supporters, because he wants to do the universal health care, he wants to do the universal education, which, those are great. Okay? Don't get me wrong. But, again, you got to think about it. Our taxes will go up. So we're going to be taking less home. We're going to get less of a tax break, less of a tax return. Okay? So nothing is ever free. Okay? I want to put that perfectly clear. Look at this garbage Obamacare that came out. Okay? Oh, everybody's got to have insurance. It's going to be the Affordable Care Act. Well, when you're saying it's affordable, it should actually be affordable. Let me point it out. Okay? In my new job, okay, if I was to put my son and I on that insurance, okay, that would be $260 every paycheck out of my paycheck. And then on top of that, child support comes out, and that's so much. I would be coming home with a half a paycheck every other week. How is that affordable to an American citizen? How is that affordable to somebody who lives paycheck to paycheck? It's not. And then if you go through the marketplace here in Connecticut, it's called Access Health CT. Okay, you have to make so much. Okay, and you get the quote unquote tax break. Okay, so I put myself on $4.40. This is what I paid before I put my son on my insurance, and I was able to get state insurance because of it. And I'm not afraid to say that, but I'm a working American who pays taxes. So yes, I need the help. I can depend on the state to help me. I'm not ashamed to say that. Okay, because for once, it's actually helping somebody who needs it. Okay, but before I was able to put my son on, okay, I was paying $4.40 a month for insurance because it was originally $183.40, but I got a $179 tax break off of it. Okay, fine. But you know what? There was a $1,000 deductible. So I would still have to pay out of pocket for $1,000 before the insurance even kicked in. What kind of affordable health care is that? It's not. It's not. Because you go to a doctor's appointment, okay, right there, let's say it's just an appointment. You don't have to get any tests done or anything. That alone is usually like, I don't know what the specific rates are, but I'm going to say $65 to $100, depending on if it's a PCP or a specialist. It might even be more. How is that affordable when you're living paycheck to paycheck? Okay, you have to buy groceries, you have to put gas in your car, you have to, provide for your children. How is that affordable? It's not. Okay, end of discussion. It's not. So, with that being said, the very first thing that I hope Donald Trump does when he gets into office in January is repeal Obamacare. Okay, that's got to be the very first thing. All right. And that's because the other thing is, like, if you're gonna say that everybody has to have something, or else you get fined, or you get taxed, which back, we did have a saying, no taxation without representation, right? Okay. And there's so many taxes that are on us, but yet we're not represented. So that right there is unconstitutional. Okay. But the fact of the matter is this. All right. If you're going to say that something is a necessity, at least make something that's free and affordable. Don't put the level of poverty so low that somebody who really is working their ass off can't even make it. Okay? $25,000 a year is too high for the level of poverty in Connecticut for a single person and one child. Really? When rents are so high in Connecticut, when the cost of living is so high, and you're going to say that for a family of one with one adult with one child, the level of poverty is $24,000, and then that's when you can get, state insurance. How does that fit into the quote unquote American dream? It doesn't. It really doesn't. Okay. Like I said, Sportswire is whatever comes off the top of my head, and I just got on a roll. got a lot more to talk about. Let's go to our next song here, okay? And like I said, it's going to be completely American version of today's Sportswire. So right now, here is Real American by Rick Derringer, okay? The theme song for the immortal Hulk Hogan right here on the Sportswire. All right, and that was Real American by Rick Derringer, right here on the Sportswire, only on Black Lion Entertainment and Sports Network. Like I said, it's going to be a completely American version, just celebrating our country, celebrating the people who have given their lives in the ultimate sacrifice for our country, for our freedom. And I got to say, one of the best things about living in this country is that we do have a lot of freedoms. Now, granted, we do have people that are trying to take away those freedoms. Freedom of religion, freedom of, the First Amendment in the Constitution says you have the freedom of speech, you have the freedom of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, correct? Well, you know what? Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that really don't want people to have that liberty, the freedom for the pursuit of happiness. There are so many people, and this is where I do toe the line between Republican and Democrat, and liberal and conservative, and the left and the right, and whatever analogy you want to say it. Okay, if two people fall in love, okay, they should have the right to get married. Okay, whether it's two men or two women, or or a former man and a former woman, or whatever the case may be. Okay, there's too many possibilities. Everybody says, marriage should be between a man and a wife, because that's what it says in the Bible. And yeah, I know, this is where it comes contradictory, because the way I look at it is the Bible is written by man. It's been translated by man over the years. Okay. And don't get me wrong. I use the Bible, especially a lot of the Old Testament, okay, for wisdom when it comes to Proverbs. And there's a lot of stuff in the Bible that's really great. But, and I do believe that at one point it was God inspired. Okay. But the fact is, it goes through so many different translations, and each denomination of Christianity chooses its own translation. The only one that you could really go back to that's actually universal is the Old Testament, because the Old Testament is in every Bible, it's in every Torah, and in every Quran. Going from Christianity to Judaism to Islam. Okay, so you go back to the Old Testament, you've got the Psalms, you've got the Proverbs. Okay, and yes, the Proverbs are fantastic wisdom. Okay, and I truly believe in that. When it comes to the New Testament, obviously there's so many, that's where things get kind of dicey. So you have to go back to the place where it was universal. And that's where you get the Old Testament. Okay, now don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good stuff in the New Testament as well. Okay, like, 1 Corinthians, where it says love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy. Love doesn't boast, and it goes on and on. And, that's, fantastic. And yeah, I read the Bible for stuff that has to get me centered, but that doesn't mean that you have to live specifically by the Bible, because, well, hell, I mean, this is the 2000s. Okay. The Bible, the Old Testament was written, back in the BCE era. I guess, yeah. Now they're considering, instead of before Christ, it's before Common Era, and then, the New Testament was written so far later. Okay, but again, it's still written 2,000 years ago, or, 1900 and, 1911 years ago, or whatever you want to say. But again, it's like it was written that long ago, and then going through all the translations, it doesn't necessarily live up to how the world has changed. So when you have the whole issue with transgenderism and, allowing, now, okay, this is something that this is probably one of the most controversial topics I've ever talked about on the Sportswire before. Okay. Definitely one of the most controversial. Okay. That the new transgender law. Do I believe, number one, it's been happening for years. It's been happening for years. If you live your life if you're a man and you live your life as a female and you're going through the process to become a female and everything, and, and from the outside looks, okay, you're a female, you use the female restroom, the women's restroom. Absolutely. I agree with that. 100%. Okay. Because it's been happening. It's not like you're going to go through some kind of an x-ray machine to see what genitalia you have between your legs, or if your breasts are fake. I mean, hell, if we, if you x-rayed for fake breasts, half of the actual females out there would be allowed in the female restroom. But, the fact is that, there's so many people saying, oh, well, that gives the opportunity for just regular guys to dress as a woman to go into the bathrooms and molest our daughters. Well, you have a point, but the problem is people have been doing that for ages anyways. Okay? And I personally feel that it's not going to change a dang thing. Okay? I mean, now it's in the spotlight. Okay? And so yeah, the news stories are picking up when there's a guy who happened to put on a muumuu and dress as a woman to get into a woman's bathroom. That's, people are taking advantage of it. And that's the way it's been for ages. Okay? But again, it's only that part of the population. It's not saying, all right, well, a female is living their life as a man, taking the hormones to become a man, they're allowed to go into the men's restroom. Nobody's worried about about their sons. It's always about the daughters. Okay? First of all, when I was a kid growing up, I don't think I was allowed to go into a public restroom by myself until I was at least 13 years old. So it's like my mother always took me as a boy into the female restroom to go to the bathroom because she wanted to be there with me. Okay? So how does that make it wrong? It doesn't, because you're protecting your child. Okay? So it's like my son is 10. I'll still go into a public restroom with him to make sure that, and of course that's a little different because of, father and a son, both men going to a male restroom. Okay, fine. But if I had a daughter, it would be the same way. I would take my daughter into the men's room so that I can make sure that she's safe. That's what you call good parenting. Okay? It has nothing to do, because if a parent is in there with a child, number one, nobody's going to try to screw with the child. No, maybe I should use better terminology. Nobody's going to try to do anything to the child. Okay? Because they see the parents there as protection. Okay? If you're looking at, let's say, 16-year-olds, they can take care of themselves. Okay? As long as you teach them the right way how to, like my son is 10 now. Okay? And yes, I'm going to start teaching him self-defense. And it doesn't necessarily have to be karate, but, I'm going to be teaching him self-defense because he needs to know this, going forward. Okay? And, the basic self-defense is yelling for help and, or if it's a guy kicking them right between the legs, because as we know, no guy wants to be kicked in the nuts because it hurts. Okay? It's very, very painful. I've felt it. So, if it's a female, it's like you do what you have to do for self-defense. And that's where parenting comes in. There's so many different levels to these conversations. Okay, but again, it comes down to the fact that we as a society are so focused on this one thing that really is minuscule in life. Okay, how many of our men and women are overseas fighting for our freedom? Why are we not talking about that? Why are we not talking about the wars? Why are we not talking about the fact that it looks like Hillary Clinton is the chosen one for president? Why are we not talking about that? Makes you think. All right, it's been 40 minutes. I haven't gotten to any sports yet because I've been on a roll, as always. That's what happens. So I'm going to get to my next song, okay? And this is probably one of my favorite American songs. That's why I had to add it on. It was actually a last-minute thing. Toby Keith, who is probably the most American country singer you can get. Here's courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, The Angry American, right here on the Sportswire.
American girls and American guys, we'll always stand up and salute. We'll always recognize when we see old glory flying. There's a lot of men dead, so we can sleep in peace at night when we lay down our head. My daddy served in the army He lost his right eye, but he flew a flag out in our yard. Till the day that he died, he wanted my mother, my brother, my sister, and me to grow up and live happy in the land of the free. Now this nation that I love is falling under attack. A mighty sucker punch came flying in from somewhere in the back. Soon as we could see clearly through our big black eye, man, we lit up your world like the 4th of July. Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and the Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist, and the eagle will fly, and it's gonna be here when you hear Mother Freedom start ringing her bell, and it'll feel like the whole wide world is raining down on you. Oh, brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue. Served and the battle will rage. This big dog will fight when you rattle his cage, and you'll be sorry that you mess with the U.S. of A. 'Cause we'll put a boot in your ass, it's the American way. Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and the Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist, and the eagle will fly, and it's gonna be hell when you hear Mother Freedom start ringing her bell, and it'll feel like the whole wide world is raining down on you. Oh, brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
All right, and that was Toby Keith with courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, the Angry American, right here live on Sportswire, only on Blackline Entertainment and Sports Network. I do want to tell you that if it seems like I'm kind of far away, it's because I have to use the internal mic on my laptop for the show. The laptop doesn't have a microphone plug-in. I do have to get another adapter so I could plug in the USB part, especially because of somehow it got wrapped around my foot at home, and the USB adapter broke. And at least at my desktop, I have the microphone input. On the laptop, I don't. So, like I said, the Sportswire is completely transparent. If we have technical difficulties, then I will tell you. I mean, just like, a couple weeks ago when I tried to do the show and I kept getting muted and everything, I downloaded malware or virus. I had to reset my entire freaking computer. So, I will always tell you when there's something wrong. All right, it's been 45 minutes. It's been 45 minutes and I haven't talked a dang thing about sports yet. But that's normally how it does, right? That's normally how it goes here on the Sportswire. So I think that I will start talking about sports right about now. Tonight, WWE Monday Night Raw. Okay, the return of John Cena. As a matter of fact, John Cena is on the Today Show. I don't know if it's still on or not, but he was on the Today Show this morning on NBC. He's looking in great shape. He had that brief return at WrestleMania, and then I think the night after he was on Raw, but he's actually returning tonight. He's cleared to wrestle. And big news, okay? Starting on July 19th, okay? WWE SmackDown will be live on Tuesday nights on the USA Network, okay? So they're going to go from being taped on Tuesday, shown on Thursday, to being live on Tuesday. And with that comes the best thing that they've done in a while. the brand extension returns. That means that SmackDown will have its own roster and Raw will have its own roster. That gives more guys of the quote-unquote new era the opportunity to step up and earn that opportunity, earn their spot on the roster. Okay? That means that, from what I've heard, they're going to have Cena as the number one guy on one show, on one brand, and they're going to have Roman Reigns be the number one guy on the other brand. Okay, two very polarizing guys as the number one. And I can't wait. I am so happy because they're going to go back to 2 world titles, okay, which is good. And the other thing, see, WWE has so many options with this now. They did it back in 2002, okay, and it lasted till roughly 2000 and I want to say 2010, because other than that, everybody started, going on both shows by then, and then it was officially over in 2013. But for the most part, for the first few years, it was great. They had the draft every year where they switched it up and people were traded and everything. So it was actually really good. But that opens the door now for the WWE just to do so much. They're doing that Cruiserweight Open coming up in in a couple months, and which is great because the WWE, or should I say Vince McMahon, never actually gave the Cruiserweights the time of day. The only one he really gave a push to was Rey Mysterio, and that's because he had a household name. And even then, he wasn't doing Cruiserweight matches. He was going for the World Heavyweight Championship. The guy is under 200 pounds. How do you consider him heavyweight? You don't, And it's like, yeah, everybody wants to be the world champion, but you know what? You give the Cruiserweights their own division. It's like put the Cruiserweights on SmackDown. All of them. I mean, it'll be like Monday Nitro all over again. Because Nitro and ECW for the most part, but a Nitro, they spotlighted the Cruiserweight. Okay, see, that's why I love the fact that Shane McMahon is back. And now, granted, of course, it comes back to the writers. But, it's like, in the perception of the fans, Shane McMahon coming back just brought this whole new era into the WWE. I think Triple H is finally getting into Vince's ear to say, hey, you're out of sync with the fans. The fans do not want this. The fans want this. And unfortunately, Vince has always been hard-headed. Okay, now I don't know Vince McMahon personally. If I did, I would be working for the WWE right now because I'd kiss ass as much as I could to get in there. But the fact is, from what I've seen, what I've heard, all the, dirt sheets and interviews I've heard, Vince has always preferred the bigger guys. Whether it was Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, The Ultimate Warrior. Randy Savage wasn't a big guy, but he had a big personality. Okay? Which is why, he really didn't get the recognition he deserved. Even Goldberg. But Goldberg was a flop because he wasn't a McMahon creation. That's why it's like after, Hogan left and which I'm very surprised he didn't give a really good push to Lex Luger. Because Lex Luger was a great competitor, great wrestler. He didn't have really that much charisma, but then he went to Diesel, Kevin Nash. Bret Hart was a small guy, but again, gotta give credit where credit was due. He was actually a really good wrestler. I don't like him personally. Same thing with Daniel Bryan. He's a small guy. He's a great wrestler. I don't like him personally. So I guess I'm kind of in that same mindset with Vince. But if you put it in the mid-card status, keep Bret Hart in the Intercontinental division. Keep Daniel Bryan in the Intercontinental division. Don't put them into the heavyweight division. That's the problem. That's the only problem I have with the WWE and with wrestling in general is that, or should I say sports entertainment in general, is that they don't keep the divisions separated. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is like a guy like, Dean Ambrose, for example. I think Dean Ambrose deserves to be in the world title picture. And it's not even, it has to do with weight classes anymore, but you got a guy, now, this is where again, the lines get blurred. A guy like Rey Mysterio, who is, 180 pounds, okay? He has no business being in the heavyweight division facing a guy like The Big Show, or the Great Khali. I mean, Great Khali was horrible anyways, but, Mark Henry. He has no business competing with them because in real life, in a real fight, and this is where I think the realism needs to come back, he would have no chance in hell at all about, beating the Big Show. Not at all. And, it's like, yeah, you want to, it's fixed, so you want to cheer for the guy that's, you want to cheer for the underdog. You want to cheer for the guy that's going to, who's got the, you want to cheer for the David versus Goliath, I should say. But at the same time, David doesn't always win. I mean, it happened in the Bible, but David doesn't always win in real life. I'm 6'3", 333 pounds. Okay, if I came up against a guy who was 5'2", who 150 pounds soaking wet, he'd have no chance in hell. Now, granted, it goes with training, and it goes, look at, like a guy like CM Punk. In my opinion, that's why, and that's why MMA and boxing, they keep the weight classes. Sports entertainment doesn't. So, of course, and then you make the argument of real versus fake, but, or real versus fixed, not fake, excuse me, it's not fake, it's fixed. But, I mean, a guy like Triple H, and a guy like The Undertaker, two big-time heavyweight wrestlers, they're legends, they're icons, they're future Hall of Famers, absolutely. They should be in the class by themselves. A guy like Brock Lesnar, okay, now first of all, I think they need to get rid of Brock Lesnar, okay? He's a household name, he's got the star power, I understand that, I agree, blah, 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 but at the same time, he's just phoning in his matches nowadays. Because all it is, suplex after suplex after suplex after suplex. And what does he really do? Nothing. It's just, it's like he doesn't really take that many big bumps. I mean, his last best match was the Hell in a Cell with The Undertaker. Other than that, he fought Dean Ambrose, and again, it was suplex after suplex after suplex in a no-holds-barred street fight. Use the freaking weapons. I mean, yeah, you want to build up, Brock to say, oh, I don't need the weapons, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Dude, he's a human being. He's not invincible. You're making Brock into this guy that no matter what he's hit with, no matter, what weapon he's hit with, he's going to come out ahead. That's why I love the fact at Extreme Rules with the Ambrose Asylum match, Jericho got beat. Because it's like, number one, Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho were so evenly matched that, the weapons come into play, somebody's going to get hurt very badly. And you saw Jericho's arm. You saw the thumbtacks and everything. He posted the picture on Facebook and Twitter and all that. So, I mean, you really have to realize that there's so much going on that they have to bring back some sense of realism. And everybody thought, oh, Brock is bringing realism back to WWE, and he's bringing legitimacy and all that. Yeah, for the first year or so. But after he signed his new 3-year contract, I mean, yeah, he had the fights with The Undertaker, which were great. But, I mean, his match with Ambrose at WrestleMania sucked. Ambrose did a great job, but again, it sucked. I mean, like that match with SummerSlam with Cena that Brock won the world title. 16 German suplexes. And they're promoting it. Instead of saying, oh, the match was so boring, all he did was 16 German suplexes. It's like, why? If you look at video games, okay, the video games, the WWE games, WWE 2K17 will be coming out in October. And when you do the same move over and over again, the crowd starts to boo you. They do, because it's boring. You don't want to see 16 German suplexes. Like, all right, it's getting old already. Because now you're showing us that's all you freaking know. When we know that Brock Lesnar is a great grappler, he's a great submission guy, he's a great striker. Use your repertoire. Instead, you're just using the German suplex. All right, and then the F5, and it's like predictable. Sports entertainment fans don't like that. That's why Brock is getting so much slack, because he's so predictable. And, and I'm glad he's taking time off now, because we don't need him right now. He'll come back for SummerSlam, he'll have a match with somebody, and, and the Wyatt family more likely, and put Brock in a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-1 match. Let's see how he does in that situation. But again, you have to do it where it's realistic. Brock is going to get beat down by 3 guys. Okay, yeah, he's a beast. Yeah, he's a strong guy. And he's a great fighter. But you're going to end up putting it where, first of all, I don't think Bray Wyatt has won on a pay-per-view in a long time. I haven't even seen the Wyatt family. I mean, I know that Luke Harper's hurt. But, again, I watched the Hulu version of Raw, so I get half of the version. Tonight, I think I'm going to watch the full thing, though, because I'll be down here again tonight. So I'll be able to watch the whole Raw. But why? It's like, what about Eric Rowan? What about Braun Strowman? I thought you were trying to push these guys. Bray Wyatt, I think was hurt as well. And then I hear Sister Abigail's coming up. So I don't know what their thoughts are with the Wyatt family, because they were so good. They were actually turning into faces, baby faces, because everybody was cheering them. They've got such a huge following. It's amazing. It really is. I don't know. I'll never know. That's why it's like, it's weird, because you look on the WWE corporate website. We will never, don't send us emails or anything with storylines or character development or anything, because we won't even listen to them. Well, I have to beg to differ with that mindset, because a lot of the input that you should be listening to are the people that are outside of your company, because of the fans that want to watch. And I'm not saying that, you have to pay royalties, and I think that's one of the reasons why they don't, is because they don't want to have to pay royalties to somebody and say, ooh, I came up with that idea, so, I understand that. Basically, what they should do is say, if you decide to, give us an idea for a storyline or character or whatever, it becomes our property, and do that. And that would be much better. It becomes our intellectual property, and you have no rights to it. I think a lot of people would be fine with that, because at least you're doing your program, at least you're helping the program you want to watch. It's like General Hospital every so often does fan days where fans could vote for whatever, minor stuff, and same thing WWE used to do with Taboo Tuesday or Cyber Sunday, where everybody would vote, and, you get the tabulations and everything. They do that now with the WWE app and everything. So there's some audience participation, but not enough where, you could actually say, ooh, you know what? We're going to help shape, instead of a live audience hijacking an event like Royal Rumble a couple of years ago, where everybody was so adamant that Daniel Bryan needed to win the Royal Rumble that they booed Roman Reigns, even booed The Rock out of the building. You know what I mean? So that's where that comes to, but it's strange how the WWE does business. It really is. Okay, I'm gonna get to my next song, and then we'll talk about some Yankees, and we'll see what else comes to mind, because there's something else I saw that I want to get into. And I'll take this song to read up on it if I can find it. This song came out right about after 9/11. It's another country song. It's Aaron Tippin, who's, I don't want to say he's a big name country superstar, but he's known. I don't think he's put out anything really new recently, but it's called "Where the Stars and Stripes and the Eagles Fly." So here's Aaron Tippin right here on the Sportswire, only on Blackline Entertainment and Sports Network.
Well, if you ask me where I come from, here's what I tell everyone. I was born by God's dear grace in an extraordinary place where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly. It's a big old land with countless dreams, and happiness ain't out of reach. Hard work pays off the way it should. Yeah, I've seen enough to know that we've got it good, where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly. There's a lady that stands in a harbor for what we believe, and there's a bell that still echoes the price that it costs to be free. I pledge allegiance to this flag, and if that bothers you, well, that's too bad. But if you got pride and you're proud you do, hey, we could use some more like me and you, where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly. Yes, there's a lady that stands in a harbor for what we believe, and there's a bell that still echoes the price that it costs to be free. No, it ain't the only place on earth, but it's the only place that I prefer to love my wife and raise my kids, hey, the same way that my daddy did, where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly, where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly.
All right, and that was Aaron Tippin with Where the Stars and Stripes and the Eagles Fly, right here on the Sportswire, only on Blackline Entertainment and Sports Network. Again, my name is Big Daddy Cool Thing Apsella, and just to let you know, we are back on iTunes, so you could go subscribe to the Sportswire on iTunes. Just go to the podcast area, search Sportswire, look for the flame logo, just hit the subscribe button, and every new episode of the Sportswire will go directly downloaded to your listening apparatus of your choice, whether it's your iPhone, iPod, iTunes, or any other thing that you have. You could listen to podcasts on, and it'll go right there. So we are back. Also, go over and like our Facebook page, Sportswire, facebook.com/SportswireCT. Also, like our page on YouTube, Sportswire SWE. Also on Skype, Sportswire SWE. I am going to work on trying to get some Skype interviews up because I can do live Skype interviews on the Sportswire. I just have to reinstall the virtual cable that allows me to do that. But I have to say that there's one thing in the news. All right, first of all, before we get into anything else, let's go to some New York Yankees information because that's what I want to. That's what I want to do. Is I want to go over some Yankee stuff. The regular season standings right now. The Yankees are in fourth place now. They're still a game under 500. But currently the Red Sox, unfortunately, are in first place. They're at 30-20. Baltimore's in second, 28-20. They're a half a game out. They're one full game out. The Toronto Blue Jays are 26-26, 5 games back. Yankees are 24-25, 5.5 games back. And Tampa Bay is 22-26, and they are 7 games back. The Yankees are on a 1-game winning streak right now. They had gone 6 games in a row, 6-game winning streak. Then they lost 1 to Tampa, and then got back on their winning ways yesterday. They're 13-12 at home, 11-13 on the road. So it's time to stuff up for the Yankees. A-Rod is back, and he's actually been hitting, which is a good thing. In the Central Division, Kansas City's in first place, 27-22. Cleveland is at 26-22, only a half a game on the first. The White Sox are 27-24, 1 game back. Detroit Tigers are 24-25, and they are 3 games out of first place. The Minnesota Twinkies are 15-34, 12 games out of first. In the West, the Texas Rangers are 29-21. Seattle Mariners are 28-21. They're half a game out of first. The Los Angeles Angels are 22-28, 7 games back. The Houston Astros and the Oakland A's are tied at 22-29, both of them 7 games out of first. In the National League, the Washington Nationals are up at top at 30-21 in the East. The New York Mets are 28-21. They're a game out of first. The Miami Marlins are 26-24, 3.5 games back. The Philadelphia Phillies are 26-24, 3.5 games back. And the Atlanta Braves are 14-35, 15 games out of first. In the Central Division, the Chicago Cubs up on top, 34-14. Arguably, I think they have the best record in baseball currently. The Pittsburgh Pirates are 28-21, 6.5 games out of first. St. Louis Cardinals are 26-25, 9.5 games out of first. The Milwaukee Brewers are 23-27, 12 games back, and the Cincinnati Reds are 16-34, 19 games out of first. The San Francisco Giants in the West are at 32-20 up on top. The LA Dodgers are 27-24, 4.5 games out of first. The Colorado Rockies are 23-26, 7.5 games back. The Arizona Diamondbacks are 23-29, 9 games out of first. And the San Diego Padres, the host of the All-Star game this year, are 20-31, 11.5 games out of first. They're already starting to vote for the All-Star game. So definitely let's do hashtag vote Beltran, hashtag All-Starland. Get some Yankees up there on the All-Star game this year, because you know what? Yankees are that damn good. Going over some stats for the Yankees, this is going by average. Ref Schneider only played 1 game. He's 1 for 3. His average is 333. I'm not going to count that. Austin Romine, 314. Jacoby Ellsbury is at 279. Torreyes is 271. Didi Gregorius is at 266. Carlos Beltran is at 263. Starlin Castro is at 253. Chase Headley is at 235. Brian McCann is at 230. Brett Gardner is 221. Aaron Hicks is at 194. All these guys are just hitting so horribly. But it's like, look at the games. Like Beltran's played in 48 games. Castro's played in 48 games. So they're respectively 263, 230, 253. A-Rod's only played in 24 games. He's at 170, but he's been hitting now that he's back. Dustin Ackley goes on to the DL. And then you got some pitchers as well. I have to say that things are starting to look up, especially as they brought Ref Snyder up. He's an all-around player. He can play in the outfield. He can play all 3 of the 4 infield positions. Brian McCann is currently hitting at 230. He's obviously their first choice for catcher. So that's it. For the Yankees right now, they have to step up a little bit, because if not, they're going to keep losing. But they're getting back to the winning ways now. And now that it's starting to get into June, Teixeira should be back and start heating up very soon. So that's where that goes to. Okay, So one thing I need to comment on. So I guess it was yesterday. I didn't even hear about this until I saw it start getting tagged on. Until I started seeing it tagged on Facebook. The Cincinnati Zoo. I guess there was a 17-year-old gorilla that was actually killed because a 3-year-old kid fell into the gorilla world. Now, a lot of people are saying that, it's like you want to obviously put a child's safety above any animal. That's the first thing. A lot of people are saying that, why didn't you just tranquilize the gorilla? And I guess what happened. I'm trying to find where it actually says what happened. Okay, I'm gonna probably go through. I'm gonna look. All right. Yeah. Andy Benowitz, the former kicker for the Connecticut Panthers, she's now gone to the dark side of the Western Connecticut militia. Okay, he posted this. The stupid, brainless woman who calls herself a kid's mom should be thrown in jail on multiple charges. Makes me sick that they had to kill this gorilla because of a useless human being having no regard for a child's safety. Like I said, I don't know the full story. I'm actually going to click on the link now. This is from NBC News, and I want to see exactly what happened. Why the kid put in. All right, so I'm going to read this here. A 17-year-old gorilla was shot dead on Saturday at the Cincinnati Zoo after it grabbed a child who had fallen into its enclosure, officials said. This is obviously from, like I said, from NBCNews.com. The 4-year-old boy climbed under a railing and through wires before falling about 10 feet into the Gorilla World exhibit at about 4 p.m., the Cincinnati Zoo director said Cincinnati Zoo Director Thane Maynard. First responders witnessed a gorilla who was violently dragging and throwing the child, Cincinnati Fire Department Chief Mark Monahan wrote in a statement. Once the threat from the gorilla was neutralized by a Cincinnati Zoo employee with one shot from a long rifle, the child was retrieved and brought to Cincinnati Children's Hospital with serious injuries, the statement said. The child, who has not been identified, remained conscious during the entire incident, which lasted more than 10 minutes, the statement said. The Associated Press reported that he was expected to recover. The gorilla that was killed was a 400-pound male western lowland silverback named Harambe, Maynard said. Western lowland silverback gorillas are considered critically endangered, according to the World Wildlife Fund. Maynard said the gorilla didn't appear to be attacking the child, but he said it was an extremely strong animal in an agitated situation. He said the gorilla wasn't tranquilized because in such a large animal it will take several minutes for the tranquilizer to take effect. The zoo's in the business of taking care of endangered animals, and we don't want to be in the situation in which they have to be killed, Maynard said, but all sorts of things could happen in a situation like that, Maynard said during a news briefing, adding that the right choice was made. The zoo security team's quick response saved the child's life, he added. The Outdoor Gorilla Center has been operational at the zoo for 38 years, and Saturday was the first time a person had gained access inside, Maynard said. The zoo will be open Sunday, but officials said the gorilla exhibit has been closed until further notice. We are all devastated by that this tragic accident resulted in the death of a critically endangered gorilla, Maynard said later in the statement. It's a huge loss for the zoo family and the gorilla population worldwide. Okay, now that still doesn't show or say anything about the parents. I did read, however, that the parents possibly could be brought up on charges because yeah, okay. Here's someone else who shared the same thing. Amanda Brown. I'm not friends with her on Facebook, but she said, all I can do is sit here and cry. It may piss people off, but I do believe the parents should be held accountable for this tragedy. I also believe that parents and children not being held accountable is such a huge problem nationwide for the U.S. I did not see a full video, but I believe the child was more endangered with the mom than the gorilla. The child got discharged from the hospital the same day, so thankfully he obviously didn't have any serious injuries. However, this beautiful creature who had been caged up for 17 years for our viewing pleasure got killed due to a parent's negligence. The enclosure has kept people out for 38 years. So yes, that is negligence, and this is the first instance at the zoo in that amount of time. that's something I definitely agree with. And actually, I'm going to share that now. So I definitely, feel that. I'm going to share that to the Sportswire page as well if I can. I do, and this is a specific reason why parents need to be held more accountable. Because I do feel, I really do, I do feel that parents need to be held more accountable nowadays. Why is it that it's okay for a parent to, not pay attention to their kids, especially at the zoo where there are so many, animals and it's like now you're getting to the point where now animals have to be killed. It's the same thing, all around the world, the whole hype against pit bulls. Okay? Pit bulls are dangerous animals. No, it's the owners that train them to be dangerous. Okay? Pit bulls have a very loving demeanor if you train them the right way. If you train them the way that they should be trained. Okay? I have known many people with pit bulls. And yes, they may be aggressive if there's multiple males trying to be the alpha male in a family. But at the same time, when it comes to kids or when it comes to other humans, if they're trained to be peaceful animals and loving, and they could be the biggest babies. Absolutely. I remember a former neighbor of mine. Okay, they had 6 dogs. 4 of them were pit bulls. Well, one was a purebred pit bull, one was a half pit bull, and I believe half collie. 3 of them were half pit bull, half collie. Okay, and then one was another dog. But the pit bulls, even though they, especially the 2 brothers, okay, fought to be the alpha male. Okay, the mother was a pit bull, the father was a collie. And then the sister wasn't fighting. The two brothers always fought because to be the alpha male. That's understandable. But when it came to other people and kids, they were the biggest babies. And, they're very lovable. My former boss has 2, I think the 2 pit bulls, or a pit bull and a Rottweiler, or whatever it is. Because the Rottweilers have the same kind of reputation. But they're big babies. They're lovable. They'll attack you with kisses. All right? Or they'll try to hug you. They want to be pet. It all depends on how they're brought up. So you don't hold the dog accountable, just like you don't hold the gorilla accountable. You hold the parents accountable, the owners, the raisers. Okay? I guess the zoo staff tried to get the gorillas out of the exhibit or out of the way, and the female gorillas complied, but this male gorilla didn't, so they felt they had to kill it. All right, so what about the parents that should have been watching their 4-year-old? Okay, and come on now. Again, it goes back to the point where parents need to have more accountability on them. Watch your freaking kids, people. I mean, seriously. If I have a 4-year-old and I'm bringing him to the zoo, okay, like, for example, all right, if, even my son, my 10-year-old son, okay, I would still be watching him at the zoo because kids can do anything. Now, granted, a 10-year-old knows more than a 4-year-old, but still, kids are curious. They want to be everywhere. So why don't you watch them? What were the parents doing? That's what I would like to know. What were the parents doing while this kid was going through the gate, going through the bars, going through the wires to get into this enclosure? That's what I want to know. Okay? That's exactly what I want to know. Where were the parents? What were the parents doing? Okay? It's the same thing when it comes to, like Adam Lanza with the school shooting in Sandy Hook. Why in hell would you allow your kid to train with guns? It goes back to the parents. The same thing with Columbine back in the 90s. Parents need to pay more attention to their kids. Okay? You don't blame it on video games. You don't blame it on music. You don't, because they came out and said, oh, we're going to blame it on, Marilyn Manson and Eminem, and it's garbage. Okay, if you teach the kids the right way. You know, it's the same thing, even back in the 90s when the kid died because, you know, they were playing wrestling. And I forget exactly what happened, but, you know, two kids were wrestling and, one of the kids broke the other kid's neck with a wrestling move and killed him. And they brought the WWE and WCW and Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon and all these other wrestlers up on charges, or should I say, in a civil suit because of this. Really? No. WWE clearly says do not try this at home, so it's up to the parents. You know, it's like, it's the same thing. When you go to a baseball game, the baseball team assumes no liability if you're hit with a ball or bat because you have to pay attention. I mean, come on. It's common knowledge. If something is there that could possibly hurt you, pay attention. Okay? Now, when my son and I watch wrestling, we watch wrestling together and we know, and I show him that this stuff is not to be done in school. Okay? It's not to be done with friends. Okay? Now, granted, when I grew up, I did the backyard wrestling thing. I got seriously hurt. I lived to tell about it. Lived to talk about it. Okay? My knee still pops every so often because of it, but whatever. Okay? The fact is it comes back to the parenting. If you're going to sit with your kids, even with the UFC, if you're a fan of the UFC and you sit with your kids, you show them, you have to be trained the right way to do it. You need to go through your wrestling school or your MMA training or whatever it is. You can't just walk out into a baseball field and expect to be Babe Ruth. No, you go through years and years of training to develop your eye. You can't just walk into a wrestling ring and expect to be Hulk Hogan or Steve Austin or The Rock. No, you go through years and years of training. And especially back in the day, Hulk Hogan, when he first trained, but was first getting trained by Hiro Matsuda, the very first day, he got his leg broken. His leg broken on purpose because Hiro Matsuda wanted to test his guts, his passion. So it comes back to the same idea where parents need to pay attention to their kids, what they want in life, their goals and their dreams. My son is fantastic and very talented when it comes to singing and dancing and music and theater and all that kind of stuff, which I am so thrilled about. Okay? And I firmly want to support him in that. If he chooses to go the route of sports or whatever, that's fine. That's great. That's what he wants to do. But I want to grow this passion in the performing arts because that's what she enjoys doing. And I pay attention to that, and I support him in that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of parents today that want their kids to be sheltered and want their kids to be just have a protective bubble around them so that nothing happens to them. They don't get hurt. They don't, like the whole idea about participation trophies. Give me a break. Okay? It teaches the kids that everybody wins in life. Okay? It does. It teaches the kids that everybody wins in life, and that's not the way that this world is. Okay? It's not. This world is full of disappointment, and kids have to get used to that. If you're not going to win a competition, if you're not going to win a championship, that just proves that you have to work harder to attain that goal. Okay? If you don't get a trophy, if you want a trophy, you have to work that much harder. Practice. But we don't do that anymore. We do it in school. We do it with grades where you're grading a kid's brain, so to speak, on tests and on history and on this idea that everybody needs to learn the same thing, which is dead wrong. Okay, allow kids the freedom to learn what they want to learn and excel at what they want to excel in. Okay, quite honestly, yes, they need to know math. Yes, they need to know grammar. Okay, I could completely agree with that. But you don't test kids based on standardized tests that everybody has to take because kids don't learn. Number one, kids don't learn. People don't learn in general at the same level, at the same speed. Okay. They don't. Whereas I am a visual learner. Okay. I could easily look at a picture or look at a series of pictures and learn how to do something the right way. Because that's how my brain works. But if I have to read this, Okay? If I had to read the same instructions and just read them down, it'll be so much more difficult for me to do. Whereas if somebody who's the opposite read the directions and said, okay, this is this, but then looked at the picture, they'd be lost. So everybody learns differently. Everybody learns at a different speed. Everybody, so these standardized tests are just BS. They're bullshit. Okay? We have to give our kids the freedom to experience life, not the same old crap over and over and over again. Because unfortunately that's what it is nowadays. With the SATs, with the in Connecticut it's the CAPT testing, Connecticut Aptitude Performance Test. Really? And we gauge we gauge the level of education by that. You can have somebody who's very smart focusing their career on, performing arts, okay, but, or not even that, but let's just say they learn differently than the rest of people. Instead of saying, oh, this person has just learns differently, they're put in special education. Well, that's not right. That's not right at all. Now, this is again another controversial topic, but like I said, controversy creates conversation. There's so many people that are going against Donald Trump for something that happened last year where he made fun of a reporter from the New York Times who had a disability. Okay? Here's the deal. Okay, number one, we as a country need to stop getting offended by every little freaking thing. Okay? Everybody makes fun of somebody. Whether it's another nationality, whether it's somebody with disabilities, whether it's somebody who's less fortunate, whether it's somebody we just don't like, or whatever. Everybody makes fun of somebody. So if you're going to get mad at that, you have to get mad at yourself. Okay? So people are saying that we shouldn't vote for Donald Trump because he made fun of somebody with a disability. Again, that comes back to one instance in his entire platform that is going to make this country great again. So people aren't going to, okay? And then they say, oh, he's a womanizer. He's racist. He doesn't like other nationalities, immigrants. First of all, he's married to immigrant females. Okay? He dated a black girl when he was younger. Okay? He's got numerous people backing him who are of other ethnicities and races. Okay? So, tell me now, okay, how does that even compute? It doesn't. It doesn't at all. It's just people griping who are jealous of his status in life. Okay? It goes to the fact that everybody's been brainwashed to want to have this utopia. But it's not even a utopia because it's the 1% that run this country, okay, that have put it in our head that this is what we have to have. Donald Trump has come in and broken the mold, and the 1%, the people that run this country, are afraid. And I'm anxious to see in November when we go to the general election, because we know it's not by popular vote, it's by electoral vote. Okay? If Hillary Clinton wins, we know it's fixed. Because Hillary Clinton, quite honestly, shouldn't even be the nominee for the Democrats. It should be Bernie Sanders. Okay? So if Hillary Clinton wins, we know that it's fixed. Okay, that's why Ted Cruz and Kasich wanted to join up to get Trump out. But the Trump train, and I'm not even going to say that stuff, but Donald Trump's platform and his following is so strong that they could not knock him out. Absolutely, it's just amazing to me how so many people want to blame Donald Trump for the hatred in this world and the division in this world when it's all of the people that protest him that are the ones stomping on the American flag, that are the ones with the violence. They attacked a freaking police force this past week. And you want to say it's Trump that incites it? No, it's the people that are protesting Donald Trump that are creating the violence and creating the hatred. Okay? Because they have not been awakened to the fact that there's something higher in this world, in this country. Okay? And that's all there is to it. All right? And that's the bottom line. And yeah, I know I went over the hour and a half because I'm at an hour and a half now. And I still have one more song to play to end the show. Like I said, Sportswire is all about everything. Okay? It's the most open and vulnerable show that you'll ever hear because I don't participate in the whole, I'm not a leftist, I'm not a rightist, I'm me. I'm not a liberal, I'm not a conservative, I'm me. And that's all there is to it. Okay? So, when you listen to me, you're going to get the real, you're going to get the truth. You're going to get how I see it, regardless of party line, regardless of anything. You're going to get it how I see it. Whether it comes to religion, politics, sports, life events. There's so much more I can go on, but it's been an hour and a half already, and I'm expecting my son to be home soon. And I want to use this Memorial Day to spend it with my son. No, I never fought in the Army. No, I never fought in the Armed Forces, but today's the day to remember those who have fallen. So if you have a family, if you have a loved one who has given the ultimate sacrifice, you are in my prayers and my meditation for today and for this world, because you know what? I want to give a big thank you. A thank you up to heaven for those that have given their lives for the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. And I pray that our next president really takes into account all the people that have given their life for our country, given their lives for our country, for our freedom, and actually work towards honoring them instead of people who, quite honestly, don't deserve the honor, like politicians. Okay? That's all there is to it. So, I'm going to go to my final song of the day. It is, like I said, it's all American. I have to apologize for the language. I forgot to mark explicit on here because the song is a little bit explicit. So, here is Kid Rock with American Badass. Guys, have a great week. We'll see you back next Monday. Again, I don't know whether it be in the morning or the afternoon. Depends on my work schedule. But we'll be back next week. Same Sportswire channel, Blackline Entertainment and Sports Network. And have a great Memorial Day, folks. Thank you, God, for the freedoms that we have. Thank you to those who have given their lives for the freedoms we have. Have a great day, everybody.
And I've set up and tore down this stage with my own two hands. We've traveled this land, packed tight in minivans. And all this for the fans, girls, money, and fame. I played their game and had to scream my name. I will show no shame. I live and die for this. And if I come off soft, fix you on this.
Are you scared?
Devil without a cause. And I'm back with the beaver hats and Ben Davis slacks. 30-pack of stroll, 30-pack of hoes. No Rogaine in the propane flows. The chosen one, I'm the living proof. With the gift of gab from the city of truth. I jabbed and stabbed and knocked critics back. And I did not stutter when I said that. I'm going platinum, selling rhymes. I went platinum 7 times. And still they're ill and wanna see us ride. I guess because the only God knows why. They call me cowboy. I'm a singer in black, so throw a finger in the air.
I saw your band jumping around on stage like a bunch of wounded ducks. When you gonna learn, sucker? You just can't fuck with.
Round.